Well, it's good to see everyone this, I guess it's still this morning. And why don't we stand and greet one another real quickly and find out where the person you're speaking to went on vacation most recently. Let's do that. So let's all stand and greet one another. I think we're going to be out of town that weekend. Well, I would have gone, but that's the only time we can go on vacation is that weekend, that week. I just got paid yesterday, 3 years of work, so yeah. So now I'm cash rich. I feel good about myself. I can go somewhere. Oh my, terrible. As we get started, remain standing, and Patsy Watson's going to come lead us in our invocation and pledge and national anthem. Patsy?
Okay. Before I start our prayer, I wanted to see if anybody has anything else they would like to lift up in prayer today. Oh, good. Everything's going great. Oh, you do?
Yes. My sister has stage 4 cancer, and we just found out about it a week ago, and I've sat with her for a couple hours yesterday, and it's just really a touch-and-go type thing. So I would appreciate your prayers. There is a possibility that she'll recuperate, but it doesn't look good at this moment. So I would appreciate your prayers. Her name is Lydia Summers. Thank you.
All right, let's bow our heads, please. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I would like you to lift up Dr. Paul Peters at the Carroll Clinic, who's operating on me Monday.
Ah.
I don't need it, but he needs it.
He needs it,
Well, yeah, got to make sure that goes good.
yes. Eric has one right over there.
Eric, go ahead.
I just happened to see on Facebook today, Ashley put one who's the Ranger, ex-Ranger representative, who's always helped us out in the program. Her dad passed away.
Okay.
Her family.
Okay. All right, let's bow our heads, please. Let's lift up these people that are having difficult times right now, people that are getting ready to have surgery. Please be with them. Be with those that are very ill, may not live much longer, so let's just help them have a peaceful time of their remaining lives. We're so very, very blessed to live in this country with all the freedoms that we do have. We sometimes have to witness people in our country and those in other countries who do not live in a safe environment and struggle every day for food and shelter. As we say our pledge today and sing our national anthem that emphasizes our freedoms, please be with those whose every day is a struggle and hope they will be blessed with a better future. In your name we pray. Amen. Say our pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, and you can be seated. First of all, I would like to get started with Happy Bucks. Who would like to let us know about something happy that's happened to you in the last week? Well, I have one, and I will give some Happy Bucks to you. I just closed yesterday on a large transaction, and I feel really good about myself right this moment. You know, so hallelujah.
Congratulations. Yes. Happy.
I am thrilled to see some of those hostages come home from Russia.
That's right.
There we go.
She's happy to see the hostages come home, is what she said.
Well, it wouldn't be a Rotary meeting without a Rotary acronym. We love acronyms. So I'm happy. I'm going down to Pflugerville this weekend for the Rotary Multi-District Training Institute. So we'll be there with all the different districts in Texas and southern Oklahoma. So there'll be a lot of people there doing some things in the public image track that they have there. So.
Great. Someone else? All right. Thank you so much, Richard. Now we have introduction of guests. Do we have any guests here today? Right back in the back, Kathy.
Listen,
I am humbled and I am thrilled to have Tom Bright here. He's been a Rotarian starting out in Canada way back in the 70s, has been multiple presidents multiple times. It is a real honor to have him as my guest today. Welcome, Tom Bright.
Welcome. Right over here.
Faster next time. Okay. Stand up, DJ. DJ has visited us several times, and he's back again. And he... Tell me.
So I'm currently the owner and the general manager for Seniors, Helping Seniors. That's a new business that started about a year ago after spending my entire career in corporate IT. So it's a mission-driven business for me, and yeah, just happy to be here.
Seniors Helping Seniors. Is that applause, please?
Great, you bet. Cup? Oh, you don't? Any other guests to introduce? Thank you, Richard. Now we have our marketplace advertiser. Eric Harrison will come and say a few words.
Well, we're going to keep it all in the family here today. Our marketplace advertiser today is NOLAN DUCK. So with DBG Advisors, Nolan is a multiple Paul Harris Fellow and the recipient of the Wilbur Hawkins Spirit of Rotary Award. I wonder who won that award this year. I'm sorry. I digress. Let me get back on script. He's also, of course, our president this year, and he has been a member of our club since 2006 and a Rotarian for over 30 years. He founded DBG Advisors, a business brokerage and M&A advisory firm. He likes to close big deals. We heard that. He's a board-certified broker, a certified exit planner advisor, a certified value builder, a real estate broker, and past president of the Texas Association of Business Brokers. His firm guides business owners through preparing for a sale and the sale of their company. He ultimately wants to help owners be prepared to sell when someone comes calling. Nolan has also written a book. Are you ready to sell your business? 10 critical issues every business owner must address to get their business on the right path for a lucrative exit. He would be happy to have a confidential conversation with anyone who is considering the sale of their business. Please join me in thanking our president, Nolan, for his support of marketplace advertising.
All right, with that said, I want to call on SIOBHAN to come on up here and introduce our new member, TERESA DeFalco. Come on up, TERESA, too. Hey.
So I'm really delighted to introduce our new member, TERESA DeFalco. She is actually a native New Yorker, but she's actually, behind that, an Italian first-generation American. And so she grew up above her family's pizzeria in Brooklyn, New York, Mamma Mia Pizzeria on 86th Street. Teresa's had a really varied and interesting career. She's been an artist, and then she joined the Smithsonian. And she's now retired from the Smithsonian, but it was on a project with them at the Design District that really brought her to Dallas. She now works in sales and marketing for Advance ER and was able to bring one of their ambulances to our 4th of July parade. She has a daughter, Roma, who is 18, and she was able to take her this year to Rome for the first time. For Rotary, she wants to focus on health, mental health, and wellness. So please join me in welcoming Teresa to our Rotary Club.
Thank you so much.
Okay,
Come on in, come on in. Group hug. Thank Thank you so
Well,
much.
Teresa, before you go, we need to give you this little notebook full of goodies that you get to look over and do. And here's your badge you can wear with pride the next time you come.
Thank you so much.
Or right now, for that matter.
I'll put
You
it
bet.
on. I'll put
Okay.
it on. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Sergio Pope, would you come on up at this time? Sergio is, he is the Tackling Hunger director. He is leading the way in that avenue of service, and I wanted to highlight him and the other directors over the next few weeks so that you can know who they are, what they do, and so that you could reach out to them and possibly sign up to do something in their area of service. And so, Sergio, come and tell us about what you're involved in right now.
Thank you. Thank you, President Nolan. Good morning, and thank you very much for trusting me to be a director of Tackling Hunger. I take this position as service. You know, there's no leader out there that could be efficient or successful without a team. And I will say that my position is because it's of that. It's a service, and how can I go ahead and help the leaders that right now are taking care of one of the most important strategies of our club, which is tackling hunger. I know that hunger I will say, is one of those things that doesn't discriminate, it doesn't know audiences, and just attacks silently. And also makes a lot of individuals to stay silent in regards to that. So it's up to us how we approach and how can we help those audiences to make sure they don't have that feeling inside in regards to hunger, and also the feeling they have of isolation or being alone. So I'd like to go ahead and take the time to go ahead and recognize the programs and the team leaders that are actually actively working in these categories, which are, I will say, 4th of July Parade, Jill Jordan and the team, which they did an amazing job. And the last 4th of July, thank you so much for that. Grand Marshal Lunch, Tammy and the team as well, thank you so much for that, and an excellent organization in regards to that. And also we have the North Texas Food Bank, Susan Glenn and the whole team, and everybody who volunteered and constantly is volunteering as well, trying to go ahead and help all the audiences that we are helping right now. Meals on the Wheels, Jim Wichel and the team as well. Ronald McDonald's, Kathleen, thank you so much, and thank you for everybody that is going once a month on Mondays as well to go ahead and help the audience that we're helping there. In Snyder Plaza Tree Lighting, which is Tanya Boughton and Sean Johnson. So once again, I take the director position as a way for me to go ahead and just supplement and try to add more value into what the team is already doing, and hopefully we'll be able to go ahead and continue the next 12 months in a very successful and efficient way. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Sergio. Appreciate that. You might want to look at the little, I guess they're the papers that are on the table, front and back. You can sign up to work in different areas, but you can see who is responsible for in those areas. And right now, you can go online and sign up for to be a part of any of these areas of service that you'd like to. Go to the website, the Club Runner website, and then click on the volunteer button, and then you can sign up to work in these different areas. And I think you will be really blessed if you do that, because you know, we get more out of our service than you know, the people that we serve. It's just a lot of fun to be able to do that. All right. Then the other thing I wanted to mention is Rotary means business. We've decided to, instead of having our own PCR Connect, we want to join with the other Rotary clubs in our district once a quarter to come together and meet them and get to know how we could help them grow their businesses and how they might be able to help us as well. The next meeting is August the 13th, and it's at the Brazil Steakhouse, 12 Cuts Brazil Steakhouse, which is off the tollway, and it's going to be on August the 13th. I think it's from 5 to 7. So if you're involved, like to be involved in that, then please make plans to be a part of it. Our chair of the day, oddly enough, is Richard Stanford. So Richard, come and introduce our speaker.
You know, about, well, the late 60s, I was an undergraduate at SMU, public administration course. professor took us out to see a guy named Louis Sullivan. He was wearing there were about 15 of us, he was wearing a bow tie, and next to his office were these circular things, and he was explaining to us the airport that he was designing. And little did we know, and we're going to have a speaker today who's been a big part of that. Of course, Chris Poinsatte is he was at DART for 13 years. I mean, as the CFO at DART, so he's won awards as a real public CFO around this town, and he's been at DFW for over 20 years, and so you know what a CFO does. Strategic planning, all the finances. He deals with gates, he deals with the future, he deals with all the details of so many different things. And we're proud to have one of the greatest airports in the world, and he's been a part of building that. So welcome Notre Dame graduate Chris Poinsatte.
Well, good afternoon, everybody. It's a pleasure to be here. Thank you. I was a Rotarian one day when I was with Dallas Area Rapid Transit, a downtown Rotary member, and enjoyed my time there being out at the airport. It's pretty far away from everything. And I really appreciate that picture from 17 years ago that you put up there for me. But it's a pleasure. Thank you very much. I appreciate that, Nolan. All right, so it is our 50th year at DFW. We're celebrating our 50th year birthday of let me start make sure I keep you all on time. It is our 50th year of operations. We were actually started the operation, put together the board about 6 years earlier than that. So we get to celebrate our birthday twice a year.
Here, midway between Dallas and Fort Worth, I'm standing in the middle of the world's largest air center. From here, you can only see the shape. You cannot begin to absorb the immensity or the significance of what will become one of the most immense, one of the most significant works of man in the entire world. As you can see, we're well along with the construction of the Dallas-Fort Worth Airport, and by now you can begin to appreciate the vast scale of this project. It covers an area of more than 17,000 acres. That's larger than all of Manhattan Island. Our airport is located in the center of the mushrooming Dallas-Fort Worth area. That's Dallas off to the east, about 17 miles from where I'm standing. And over there, about the same distance, is Fort Worth, where the west begins. Getting a feeling of magnitude now? You're looking at a 2,500 square mile chunk of growth potential. And our Dallas-Fort Worth Airport sits square in the middle of it.
Isn't that a hilarious picture of, and there's Fort Worth over there, and there's Dallas over there. It's like, really? And now you fly in, and it's a donut hole, right? I mean, literally, the growth around the region, it's incredible. So we started back in 1965. The city of Dallas and Fort Worth got together and said we need to build an airport. Actually, a little history, the FAA said, we're not going to give you any more money in this region unless you guys get together and build a new airport. So that's kind of that was what got the cities together, but true visionaries to go out and buy almost 18,000 acres in the middle of nowhere, and they put the airport together. Interestingly, it was a vote. Fort Worth County voted for the airport. Dallas County voted not for the airport by a very small margin. So the two cities got together, put together an interim board to run it until there was another vote, and that was 56 years ago, and there's never been another vote. So we're still operating under an interim board, which works just fine from my perspective. I can't read that far away. So we began construction in the layout that you know. We have the 5-6 terminal layout, but the original airport actually was designed for 13 different terminals, all originating in destination type terminals. The concept of connecting like American does here was not even part of it. And then before we opened, actually we had the Concorde land at DFW in 1973. That was a really cool picture. And then in '74, we actually opened for operations, and we had, I'll show you some comparisons of then and now. and I can't read that far. It was DFW, Dallas-Fort Worth Regional Airport, and of course now we're DFW International Airport. We had 4 terminals. We have 5 today. The terminals back then weren't nearly as built out as they are today. We're going to have a 6th soon. We have, what does it say up there? I can't read that far. Should have had my notes, apologize. We have, like 3 times more gates than we had when we started. We've got like 4 times more airlines and 10 times more cargo. So, and also, I think it's on there, it's like 6 or 7 million passengers, and next year we're forecasting 92 million passengers. On average, it was 2 weeks ago, the day right after CrowdStrike, we hit 296,000 passengers coming through the airport, and if it wasn't for CrowdStrike, we might have had our first 300,000 passenger day. So here's kind of DFW by the numbers. We're the 3rd largest airport in the world for passengers and operations. During COVID, we actually reached #1 in both of those categories, and we have 68 international destinations and 187 domestic destinations. And I mean, now we're flying, when we open a new destination, the sprawling metropolis of Appleton, Wisconsin was the last destination we connected. But that shows you the power of American's hub here, because they have so many people flying in, they can go to small cities around the country and connect everybody. And as you also know, fill every seat on the airplane. So here's our economic impact. There's over 600,000 jobs impacted by because of DFW Airport, and that all adds up to $67 billion a year of economic activity. So that's why we now have a donut hole instead of Fort Worth over there and Dallas over there. So passenger growth, I talked about that. The first column there, the first is 2019 before COVID. You roll over to 2022 and you see that we recovered from COVID, and we were one of the fastest growing and recovering airports from COVID. But since then, we've grown 6.5% per year, which is really amazing. And I've been, over 20 years now at the airport, done a lot of rating agency and investor presentations. And I told the rating agencies last week, I said, this is the strongest financial position DFW's ever been in. We've never had this kind of growth, and it's all sustainable. So felt very good about that. Here's our international destinations. As I said, we have 68. And in fact, this was yesterday or 2 days ago, Fiji Airlines announced that they would be flying into DFW. So if you want to go to Fiji, you can take Fiji Airlines 3 times a week. There's another major announcement coming in the next month or 2, but new dots on the map. Brisbane in Australia. That puts us with 4 flights over to Australia and New Zealand. We also had Rio de Janeiro is back now in South America, and also in Spain. I just lost the name of it. Barcelona, thank you. And, you know, I'm very proud to be working at DFW and be part of the leadership team here. We have a really fantastic group of leaders led by Sean Donahue, our CEO now for 11 years. And we just don't focus on the business and the financials. You know, we focus on customers. We focus on sustainability. I spend a lot of time worrying about cyber. We talk about technology and investments. And we have a $9 billion capital program to go along with continuing to grow the business and add more destinations and more operations. So when we talk about sustainability, DFW is the largest carbon neutral airport in the world. We were the first carbon neutral airport in North America, and we have a plan to get to net zero carbon by 2030. And you compare that to the rest of the world that's talking about maybe we can get there by 2050, and how do we do it? Well, we have a definitive plan. And in fact, this graph shows you our net carbon since 2010, and we were able to reduce that primarily through buying renewable energy, and now we're putting in an electric central utility plant that'll be open next year, and we believe after that opens, so we won't be using natural gas to power, we'll be using electricity to power all of our terminals and all of our buildings. So that will get us to net zero probably after a full year of operation, 26 or 27, earlier than we forecast. Now you might want, there's a lot in the paper like, are you putting all your eggs in one basket, right? What happens if you can't get electricity for a day? Well, we've also hooked this e-cup, we don't talk about this a lot, but we've hooked it up to jet fuel, to our jet fuel tanks. So, and we did this a couple of years ago when we had the winter storm. We never closed, even though there was no electricity anywhere around here, because we used jet fuel to power our central utility plant. So we still have that backup in this new, so we can operate anytime there's a crisis. Technology, I mean, we have an innovation team at DFW. We're very focused on digital transformation. We want to digitize how we work internally. We want to become proactive versus reactive. We're open 24/7, 365 days a year. When something's going to break, we need to know it's going to break before it breaks, and we need to know there's problems before there's problems, so we can set things in motion to correct that. So another very important focus here, and also on the customer experience and working to have a personalized relationship with you should you choose to get our app. But as we go into our construction program, we're going to have a lot of stuff going on, so we'd love for you to be connected so we can tell you what's going on when you come out to the airport and how to avoid any problems. This is I want you to watch this here. This is how we did remote construction of our high sea gates. You can go ahead. So we built them on the east side of the airport, or the west side, or the east side of the airport, and we moved them on these little vehicle movers there, and we went underneath the Skylink people mover at 1:30 in the morning, and we cleared Skylink by 6 inches. Yes, we measured twice, just to make sure we could get through there. I'll show you some pictures of this, but all of our future construction, talking about innovation, will be remote, modular construction. Even our bathrooms, we build them off-site, and then we roll them in and plug them in 2 days instead of tearing up the bathroom and everything. So it's really, really innovative. And I talked about passenger experience. We survey our customers, and we have won the award from our industry 6 of the last 12 years as having the top customer service of large hub airports, and we're very proud of that. We won the last 2 years. We're going for the three-peat this year, and we'll see how we do. We'll know in January, February of next year. So we are very focused on our concessions and giving you lots of opportunities. We have over 230 different concessions experiences, and as we open up Terminal F and new piers on Terminal C and A, we're going to have another 130,000 square feet of concessions, so you can come out early and have some food or drink. Now, I'm the CFO, so I got to talk a little bit of financial stuff here. Our goal is always, we want passengers to grow, and we want our revenues to grow more than passengers, and we want our profitability to grow more than our revenues. And these are 2 charts. The one on the left shows passenger growth, revenue growth, and profitability growth but for the next year's budget. The board just adopted this budget yesterday. And then the chart on the right shows you going back to 2018. And so we've almost doubled the revenues over our passenger growth, and we have doubled our profits over our revenues. And I want you to understand, we are a government organization. You're going, hey, wait, profits? What do you do with profits? Well, we're not allowed by the government, by the FAA, to make a profit from the airlines. We have to charge them net cost to operate the airport. But we can make money on parking and concessions and rental cars. And we use that money we have to, by law, reinvest that money in the airport. So we take that money, and I just told you we have a $9 billion capital program, and I'd like to finance some of that with cash instead of borrowing money, because we have to borrow a lot of money out of that $9 billion. So we use this money for capital projects so we don't have to borrow money all the time. But we're very pleased with from business results. Capital investment, I just said $9 billion capital program. The airlines have approved $4.9 billion for Terminal F and the CTA and other projects, and we're 50 years old, so we have a lot of old technology and a lot of old facilities. But one of the, you don't even realize it, but we have 1,288 lane miles of roads on the airport. You could drive from here to San Diego, California on the amount of roads that we have at DFW Airport. It's pretty crazy. So here's some projects that we're working on right now. I'll talk about a few of them here and then go into some more detail. 19th Street Cargo, we have started to build our own cargo facilities instead of using third parties to do that. We also have, I can't read, Central Utility Plant is the next one there, and that's right in the middle of the airport. Moving over to the right, runway 17R. Basically, I'm sure many of you have flown out of Terminal A and C and looked out the window and seen all the construction going out on the airfield. That's that project. It'll be finished in a few months. Down in the lower left-hand corner, southeast end-around taxiways. Now, you didn't used to do this, but anymore when you land at DFW, you go, okay, I can sit around for 15 or 20 minutes waiting to get to the gate, right? And that's because we taxi all the way down and go around and come back. But think about how it used to be, and you hear all about these near incursions. You used to stop right in the middle. There's Terminal A right there. You turn 90 degrees, and the pilot would gun it, and you're looking out the window, and you're seeing a plane land, and you're going, that's not safe, right? So bear with us, please. That's the reason you're taxiing around. We don't want an incident, and it's actually more fuel efficient, believe it or not, than to stop the plane and go. But that's just a little fun fact for you. So here is the Central Terminal Area Expansion Program. This is what we're doing to Terminal C and Terminal A. I'll start with the orange up in the upper left. That's a new pier on Terminal A. It's going to add 5 new gates. And then if you look over to the right side, you see the same kind of pier coming off of Terminal C. That'll add 4 new gates. So American's going to get 9 new gates out of this. Terminal C will be totally torn down and reconstructed using modular construction. And you'll see it's done in a couple of phases there. And then how many of you parked in that last garage in Terminal C it's coming down? And we're building it up higher, and all of the parking garages will have new technology in it so that you can find parking spots like you can in other places. But this is a $2.7 billion program to renovate this. And it's a really big project. It's all approved by the airlines, and we're going to tear down that garage starting in October this year. So I talked about remote construction, and on the picture on the right is that remote construction happening. That's a picture from 2 weeks ago. So we're building the facilities up. The last time we didn't put windows on them and didn't finish them out, but this time we're actually going to finish them out, put seats in, put the windows in, put the, everything you would look at, except for a couple of things, will all be done remotely. And then we'll bring them over and just put them right next to each other. I like to say, wrap some duct tape around them and plug them in, and here we go. But it's a lot more complicated than that. But the left side of this picture is equally important because we're starting to tear up the runway. And if you think about a normal construction project, if you're reconstructing, you tear down, and then you run into asbestos, and then it rains, and you're delayed, and then 9 months delayed starting construction on the facility, and then you're open 9 months late. Well, by building while you're tearing down, just like on the high sea gates, if you have challenges there, it doesn't stop you. You still stay on schedule. In fact, remote construction with the modular structure is 30% faster and 30% cheaper. So it's really a pretty great innovation. Now here's a little video of what Terminal C is going to look like. It's much more open. It is is the security lanes. We'll have new TSA equipment there, much more space in the security lines. And you can see it's a lot more, it's a lot more open. We've taken the baggage system downstairs and see, so that's allowed us to push back the concessions and everything, and it just will feel better. Taller ceilings, more light, and think about walking through the clickety-clacks of Terminal C, and what do you see? You see lots of poles, lots of columns, 550 columns in Terminal C. And when we get done with this, it'll have 50 columns. So that's going to be quite a change. This is Terminal F. This is our new, I'm going to spend a few minutes on this because it's a little different than our current terminals. So Terminal F is down there on the bottom. You can imagine where Skylink is around the South Express parking lot. It's out at the end of Skylink. So you will actually, there's no parking, there's no front door on Terminal F today. This is phase one. There will be a phase two where that will come. But what you'll do is you go up to the top of the picture and you'll actually park and you'll check in and you will put your baggage in Terminal E. And your bags will come through that purple line going down into a processing center and then directly to your planes. And when you land, you will do just the opposite. Skylink will take, you'll go through there. Skylink's a minute and a half, and the total average walk to get into Terminal F will take 5 minutes. And I see the looks on all your faces like, what are you doing to our airport? We can park and walk right through. And for Terminal F, it's not going to be that way. And there's a real reason for that. I'm being a little bit facetious here, but we originally were going to build Terminal F just like Terminal D. And y'all go, well, that's great. Well, that's 25 gates. We have 15 gates here and 7 operational hard stands. And then if you can imagine where Terminal D is off to the left, there'll be another linear terminal running right along International Parkway there, which will have another 20 gates. So we're getting 40 gates plus out of the same footprint. And it would have cost, this is a $1.6 billion project cost, would have cost us $4 billion to build an F like a Terminal D. So we made the decision to get more gates, phase it in 2 times. Now, American Airlines will not be operating out of Terminal F. It will be for the other airlines, and they will be out there. But it will not be if you think about Denver, Atlanta, name it, Washington, D.C., anywhere you go, you have to connect to get to your terminal. And we know that's what you all love here, but we will have one terminal which won't have that. So sorry about that. And I'm going to show you a little bit of what Terminal F might look like here. There's the Skylink station. You'll take Skylink over, and then you'll come down the escalator, and you'll have a short walk into the terminal. This is going to be a linear terminal. It will be very open, bright, modern, technologically modern. Plenty of concessions. There'll be a couple of clubs there. And that's a good view of it from the west side of the airport. And I'm going to conclude with one final little video here for you, and then I'll take questions. Did I get it?
On January 13th, 1974, a vision to transform travel took flight.
Groundbreaking ceremony, which is going to be the kickoff for the construction of the greatest airport in the world.
DFW Airport's first commercial service was the culmination of years of planning, coordination, construction, and development. And it was the start of a half-century of changing what aviation meant to North Texas and the world.
DFW is an indispensable gateway to a whole world of commerce.
But none of it would have been possible without our customers. Thank you for a half-century of trusting DFW Airport with your business trips, vacations, last-minute getaways, and journeys around the world.
That's Jeff Fagan.
And what would the airport be without our partners? Thank you for believing in the dream of DFW Airport and continuing to invest in the growth and development of DFW and North Texas as a whole to meet the needs of travelers around the world. And of course, DFW Airport would not be what it is today without our employees, past and present. Thank you for all your hard work and dedication to making our airport a more efficient, comfortable, and friendlier place for every customer who steps foot on the property. Finally, thank you to the cities of Dallas and Fort Worth for your vision, which has come to life in unbelievable ways over the last 5 decades. Without the ongoing support of our North Texas region and their communities, what has happened here over the last 50 years and what we have planned for the next 50 would be impossible.
We look forward to the next chapter of innovation, partnership, and endless possibilities. Thank you for your support, and here's to the next 50 years.
Right there. And while we're going for the first question, I neglected to tell you about one very important capital project, International Parkway. You know, when you drive into the airport and you're going to go to Terminal A over here, you have to take the left exit and fly over bridge to Terminal A. Well, we're changing that. Over the next 2 years, hopefully before the World Cup gets here, we will actually have right-hand exits for Terminal A, C, and E, which means that it'll be a lot better, but you'll have to relearn how to go to the airport. And we're doing that for 2 reasons. One is they're getting old and they need to be replaced. Number 2 is we can build this while and not have to tear down the flyover, and once we open that, we can tear the flyover down. But you will have a little inconvenience for a period of time when we're doing that crossover for a couple of months. You'll have to do like on ice days where you go down and under, so FYI. So thank you, I'll take questions.
So I have an easy one just to start, and that is, what percentage of flights is American Airlines in the airport now, and who is the second airline after that?
American, from a passenger airline standpoint, is about 85%, and second, 85%, and it bounces back and forth. I think Frontier at about 2% is the next biggest one.
Question to your nonprofit. So, residual income, I guess, from the gas wells that are throughout the properties I've seen over the years. And then also, how much excess land, because you're doing self-generation, you're carbon neutral. I mean, is there excess land, because it's 17,000 acres, like to put solar arrays? Has that been thought of, and those types of things?
Yeah, natural gas was really big back when we did the first deal, and now it's about $3 million a year because it's so cheap right now. We've looked at solar, but it hasn't penciled out, there's some airports that have it. It's not highest and best use of the land. So, and we still have about, I want to say 2,300 acres to develop on the airport.
Yes, as you know, North Irving has become a distribution hub. How has that influenced the growth of the airport? And lastly, have you ever talked to Delta about returning to Dallas as a hub?
Well, clearly the airport is, I mean, when you talk about the 630,000 jobs and the economic impact on the region, cargo and transportation is half of that number. So, I mean, we have, I would say that once you get beyond the airfield, I mean, 90% of the developed land on the airport is for logistics purposes. And what was your second question? Delta? Well, American gobbled. Once they left, it got all the land got, all the gates got gobbled up. That is rule number 1 when you're an airline at an airport: keep your gates.
Okay, I had can you explain the second phase of F, and when will that roll out? And this is just a fun question. Are you, is American, really allowing all these dogs on the airports, on the airplanes? Don't have to be service dogs?
Let me answer your first question there. So the second phase of F is not in, it's in the plan, but it is not approved by the airlines yet. That will come, what we're building should take us through 33, 34, 35 maybe. So we will need to gain approval from the airlines. We can't do a capital projects unless, because we're going to borrow money and the airlines have to pay that back, we can't do a capital project without their approval. So I would guess that that would be open sometime in the mid-2030s. And what is it? All right, so imagine this. This is the linear terminal we're building right now, and that's out at the end of Skylink. And then if you come over here to Terminal D, and if you've been down to the D South gates, where 1, 2, 3, and 4, we're going to build another linear terminal there. Then in the middle of International Parkway, we're going to build new parking, head house, and everything that will then serve both Phase 1 and Phase 2 of Terminal F. If you can imagine that. Okay. And sorry, I can't help you on the dog question.
Thank you for being here today. Just curious, I live in Southlake. Do you have room for additional runways at DFW? And then my second question is, this may pertain to you or not, just how do you work with the other airports as a private pilot? Just curious about the airspace, the additional airspace you need to handle the additional traffic. Thank you.
You bet. That's a great question. The master plan for the airport does have an 8th runway. It would go right over the downtown Grapevine. I don't believe that runway will ever be built. To answer your first question, we've probably got enough airspace capacity to last another 30 to 50 years. But your other question is right on. We work very closely with the FAA on both. Love Field takes up a lot of our airspace, actually. And so we're working very closely with the FAA. The throughput in Atlanta is, I'm making this number up, but it's dramatically more throughput per hour of planes landing in Atlanta than it is here. So there's a lot of opportunity to improve the airspace utilization at the end of the day. So I don't want to be working at the airport with the 8 runway starts.
I want to echo again, thank you so much for being here. I've got 2 things. Number one, I had 2 friends, John Green and Albert Toole, and we walked out when DFW was a cornfield and had the opportunity to buy some ground out there, and we turned that down. But
sorry about that.
My other question is, it just looks fabulous as we look at what has occurred and where we're going. As a contractor, I know when you built the first large terminal out there with the exotic roof and all that, there were some contractors that ended up taking bankruptcy. As a result, that supposedly DFW didn't honor the contract. So I don't know whether you were on board at that point in time or not, but in the industry, it was a pretty interesting occurrence when that occurred. And then I guess that's my last question. Thank you.
Was that back when the airport was originally opened, or are you talking about Terminal D?
Talking about the one on the west side over there.
Yeah, Terminal D. That's the first I've ever heard that, so I'm sorry for those companies. I'm unaware of that.
Well, before you signed on with DFW, there was another airport called Amon Carter, and I took a flight out of Amon Carter in 1961. I have a picture of that, and I've got my sport coat and necktie and looked really spiffy. But anyway, my question is, could you talk just a little bit about the demise of Amon Carter and how were they phased out, and even what was the motivation of Mr. Carter to establish a DFW type powerhouse?
Are you referring to Great Southwest Air? Yeah, okay.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, that was part of the deal, right? And Love Field's right over here. But part of the deal was that was supposed to be closed. Love Field was supposed to be closed, and the 2 cities were to build and operate DFW Airport. And we all know the Southwest story of how they got out of that brilliantly. But Yeah, I mean, that was all part of the grand compromise of putting it together. And if you saw that, you might, DFW's here and Great Southwest was right here south of it. You could have never operated both airports at the same time. So that was just part of the deal. Oh, yes.
Not a question, just a comment. I love all the red and green lights in the parking garage.
Oh,
so you can look down and see where I need to go park. Whoever thought of that was a genius. Thank you.
Thank you.
I have one final question. Airlines play so much of a part in what you do. They have so much say. Do they ever get crosswise? I mean, what's the real inside story, the soap opera story of the airlines?
Oh, no, we agree on everything all the time. We have a long-term business arrangement with the airlines. It's called a use and lease agreement. The first one was 35 years long so that we could finance the beginning of the airport. The last two have been 10 years long. But in that, we negotiate how we're going to share money, all the business terms, how we're going to charge them for what we're going to charge them, what capital projects are pre-approved. It's because of COVID, it took 5 years to do a 10-year deal. So I told my team, take a break and start the next one in a month. So,
tell us one more thing. Southwest Airlines, tell us about their plans.
So the Wright Amendment and son of Wright Amendment basically said that Southwest could not come to DFW Airport until 2025. If they chose to do that, for every gate they took at DFW, they'd have to give up 2 gates in Love Field. So that was obviously part of an untenable deal that they would never do that. But in 2025, that ends. It's been publicly, it's been in the papers that DFW and Southwest are talking about them having some gates in Terminal F maybe. It could be someplace else, but we're having conversations. I would expect Southwest to be at the airport someday in the future, and 2027 is when F opens up for the summer of 27.
Okay. Well, thank you so much, Christopher. A book will be placed in the Jack Lowe Senior Elementary School in your name and your honor for speaking with us today. We really appreciate you coming and being with us.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. And as we conclude today, I want to, call on, well, first of all, Dr. Mike Rockwood, Superintendent of the Highland Park Independent School District, will be our speaker next week, and our chair is Jeff Brady. You know, that's going to be interesting, and I hope we'll have a good crowd for that because we want to build a relationship with the school system and get to know each other a little bit better than we have in recent years. So I hope everyone will be here for that. And then I want to call on TERESA DeFalco to come and lead us in the 4-way test. Let's all stand.
The 4-way test.
The things we think,
say, or do. First, is it truth? Second, is it fair to all concerned? Third, will it build goodwill and build friendships? And fourth, will it be beneficial to all concerned?
Thank you. You get to ring the bell.